So one last topic before we wrap up this API testing concept with Cypress. So till last lecture, you have seen on how to listen to your HTTP calls, and then you captured after that HTTP call got happened. Okay, but you did not hit that call. So you did not hit that call to the server. You made your UI hit by selecting the button or whatever, but the job what you did is you listened to that call, whatever it is happening from the browser, and then you either gave the details of that responses or you mocked the responses, but you yourself did not hit that HTTP call, right? So now if you want to do pure API testing, that you itself hitting the API and getting the response back without depending upon this UI completely. Now I want to do pure API testing and without bringing any web into picture, then I can simply make this HTTP request calls and get responses using the request command. I expect that you have some basics of API testing to watch this lecture. So if you are not aware of basics, reach out to me through email. I will help you to give some API testing information so that you can go through the videos and come back here to understand this. Basic knowledge is enough. I'm just showing that how to hit APIs using Cypress without depending upon any browser or listening, just direct hit. So the request command accepts firstly what type of HTTP call you are trying to make, if it is a get, post or delete, and the endpoint where you are hitting. And if it is a post, then you have to give the body JSON payload of hitting that API. All those details, if you pass into this request command, then this will hit the API call and get the response back as a promise. You have to resolve the promise and extract the response object so that you can put validations on that. It's very, very simple. Firstly, to demonstrate that, I will open one of my own API, whatever I designed for practice for students. It's a library API. The endpoint is this, where the service is located. So this is the resource. So basically base URL / resource to add a book. So we were actually adding a book to the library, and all the book details we will send as part of our JSON payload, like name of the book, ISBN, in which IL it gets stored, and the author name. All the details will be given as a payload, and it's a post request. So we will hit this endpoint so that this book will get stored in the library databases, and it will give information on which IL it is there. Okay. The output what you get after this API call is made, if it is success, then you will get a response like this: message successfully added, and your book will be assigned a unique ID number. This ID number is combination of your ISBN and IL number. So if you concatenate both of them, that would be your ID number, which you will see in the response. So that is the concept. If you have aware of any tools like Postman to actually do this testing, look at here. So this is an endpoint and this is a complete payload, and just you need to hit on send button so that you will get a response back. Make sure you provide this ISBN and IL. These should be unique. If there is already existing book with the concatenation of these two information, then it will say that book already exists. So you have to give the unique value so that it will get stored. Now when you hit this request with these details, look at here, successfully added. Okay. So let's try to actually complete this validation in this lecture. We will do that using Cypress now. So with their documentation, let's do it in very simple fashion. Let me create a new test for. I'm not going in depth and teaching all the concepts of API because it's not really required. So we use Cypress only whenever we require on demand. Okay, there could be a scenario that you have to fill the form, but that data is dynamically coming from API. So you can happily do this API call, get the response, capture the values, and feed it into your front end test data. Okay, you can put all that information in your test data, which wherever required in your front end apps. In general, if you want to achieve it without using Cypress, we will use a combination of Selenium plus REST assured API. REST assured is one of the REST API testing framework, which will help us to do all the API validations. We will combine those two tools and solve the scenario of getting the data from response and feeding it into the front end applications. But using Cypress, you can do everything here with the calls, whatever I'm showing this lecture. Alright, so I will simply copy a few details. So here there is no UI, so you can forget about cy.visit. It's just a pure API call. So let's read the documentation and complete the test accordingly. First, cy.request method. Let's capture this here. Method for our API here is post. Okay, so let me replace this first with post. Next, URL, which is nothing but an endpoint where you are hitting your server. So the URL to add a book is this. I will give this documentation to download, the Word document, whatever I prepared to understand this API. you can use this and try to create a test to validate API using Cypress. And now body. So you have to also send a JSON payload to tell which book you are adding and what is the IL number, ISBN number, and who is the author. That's a JSON payload, right? Okay, so you should place for a body. Perfect, that's it. So this is very simple. Now, when you hit this command through Cypress, when you run this particular test, this will actually hit the server and get the details for you. And now you need to extract the response and you need to put validations, right? And the response, whatever it returned, it's again promise. So resolve the promise dot then capture the response, whatever it returned, and then work on that. It's as simple as this. So we were grabbing that, you know, right? How to get and resolve the promise. Dot then basically you write like this function and then you got response out of it. Okay, so right now when you run this test, it will just does whatever you are doing here. When you click on send button, you will get a response back, right? Same thing this test also does and gives you the response back. And in this response object have everything where you can start now validating. Let's say that if you want to validate whether message is successfully added or not in your output, then this response object have response. Let me show you. Dot. Look at here. IL, author, everything is coming. Body. So when you say response dot body, whatever the response body you got back, you can actually retrieve it. So this is your body, right? And if you want to validate this message, you can simply say expect response body to have property. Basically, we were validating the property message here to have property key value pair. This is the message. Nice. And then you are validating if it's coming as successfully added or not. Perfect. So you are already familiar with these kind of assertions, right? So here response object is what it returns back, and when you do response dot body, it gets complete captured of the response whatever you see in your output. From there, these are multiple properties available in your response. Message is one property, ID is one property. So we were actually validating that from the complete response body for message property, verify whether it is having successfully added message or not. If it is there, that means we can confirm that our API got success on hitting and getting the response back. So this is how we can put validation. So there are a lot of validations you can actually try on that request method, that specific command. You can actually come back to the assertions and check out here. Response.body length, total characters of the body is 500. You can validate. And if you want to see the status, if it's getting 200 or not. So what is the status we were expecting here in the response? So here it is 200. So now you can also add a validation that make sure that it returns 200 as your status. Okay, just read the official documentation to understand what kind of different assertions you can put. If you just wonder how would trainer know that response.body is how, if you want to grab the body of the API response, I just learned from here. Everyone should come to this page and learn, because the authors of Cypress have written that this is how you need to do. Everyone reads that and follow and implement that in their live projects. So if you want to verify whether this text is present in your response body, then you can say dot its body should include. Read out this documentation to understand. But the main assertions are properly displayed here. So that's really helpful for you to go through this. And also give the unique values here. If not, you might get a message saying that book already exists. If the ISBN and IL number, whatever you give, if already exists in database. And one more thing, you have to put promise on request command. Why are we putting on at this it? This is wrong. Right. It should be here. For your request command, we were resolving the promise and then we are working on that promise. Okay, we need this. So let's run this test. Okay, I will go to my Cypress test runner and say API test.js. It seems to start it here. Oh, it's done. It's very fast. Let me rerun again. Perfect. Look at here. Assertion is passed, expected 200 to equal 200, and the expected message of successfully added is also validated. So this is how you can do API testing as well with your Cypress. It's very, very easy compared to any tool. The only documentation you should have handy when you are working with this is the request command. Keep this documentation handy and just pass the value just the way how they were telling you. Look at here now. If you have any method, URL and body to test, we did the same way, right? Post method, URL and the JSON payload you give, and then you resolve the promise. From the response, in the body, you are looking for name property should be Jane. Okay, we did something like this. So this will be the best example for you to understand and explore more on the API testing. But as I said, if you have a number of API test cases, and if your project is more of complete API automation, then I would suggest you to have a dedicated tool like Rest Assured framework for API testing. So that's all I have, guys. Thank you.